Joining us now is author and Yale graduate Naomi Wolf, who's written about her own story of sexual harassment as a student at Yale. Good to have you with us this morning.
Good to be here.
As I watched your reaction to that piece, you were visibly getting upset as you were listening to those women, listening to what Yale had to say. When you hear their complaint, what's your reaction to it? Does it have merit in your eyes?
Well, it has far more merit than they even realize, because what Yale has been doing and what happened to me was very mild compared to what I discovered in doing some investigative reporting subsequent to being stonewalled by Yale, trying to find out how serious the problem was, is that for at least 2 decades, Yale has been systematically covering up much more serious crimes than the ones the students have even identified. What they do is that they use the sexual harassment grievance procedure in a very cynical way, purporting to be supporting victims, but actually using the process to stonewall victims, to isolate them, and to protect the university.
How so? How do they do that with this process?
Well, let me give you an example. There were several faculty members that were identified to me who had repeatedly, raped graduate students, allegedly, according to the graduate students. And the graduate students had gone through the reporting grievance procedure. But the grievance procedure is not transparent. You can't find out in any given year what's been reported, how many rapes, how many allegations of sexual assault, what kind of crimes, like the use of Rohypnol comes up periodically from people who have
Which is a date rape drug.
A date rape drug, exactly. One young woman, allegedly, again, according to her report, but she took her case to trial and I believe was successful, said that her resident advisor had given her a date rape drug and sexually assaulted her. So the point is, parents and students can't find out who's dangerous. They can't even find out what professor has systematically a track record of harassing students, behaving inappropriately, or worse, rape. And so, for instance, this one professor, 2 separate women, 2 separate years, had come forward, but the university did nothing, covered it up, and now he's teaching at a Western university, and no one's safe from him.
You write a lot about this very powerfully in your piece, 20 years after it happened to you. You also say at the end of your piece that if someone came to you who was a Yale undergrad and said, I'm concerned about this, I want to go to the grievance board, you would tell them instead to get a lawyer.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The grievance board is a farce. I mean, it exists to protect the interests of the university legally and to cover up a trail of harassment.
As they said in Seth's piece, they don't condone this, they don't support sexual harassment. Real quickly, do you think anything will change with this lawsuit?
Well, I'm very proud of these young women, and I want to stress that I love my alma mater, and I'm sure they love Yale, and the way Yale is behaving is not worthy of its own ideals. So yes, when women and men, I think it's notable that a man, at least one, has joined it, because the victims who came forward to me included men. This is not only a women's issue. When people are named and they stand up and they say, this happened to me, it's not okay, and especially when there's federal funding involved, which is substantial, only that moves the ball forward. And, sunlight is the best disinfectant.
We'll continue to follow it. Thank you for coming and for sharing
Thank
your story. Naomi Wolf joining us this morning.